All right, welcome to Thriving Life Outfitters. Good to have you here. I saw this a while back and I couldn't help but make a video and share with you. If you're having trouble breathing, if you actively have COVID and you're having trouble breathing, if you are having long-term effects with COVID, anxiety, you're feeling tired, still having trouble breathing, those kinds of symptoms, you might want to at least have a look at this. It's basically a handheld device that is somewhat like a neurostimulator that you use on the vagus nerve. And essentially, this was originally designed for all kinds of things, but PTSD, migraine headaches, cluster headaches, things like that. And essentially, it's helping to downregulate the vagus nerve system, the vagal nerve. And what's the vagal nerve? Um, Essentially, it is the nerve that is attached to almost everything. And it's very much connected to fight, flight, but also rest and regeneration. So it works both ways. And for some curious reason, when you stimulate this vagus nerve system right here on the neck, it can downregulate and put you into that rest and regenerate state. And it helps you, instead of being tight and breathing shallow, now you can take a breath. And there's all kinds of things like that's tied to your digestive system, to your blood pressure, to cholesterol levels, inflammation. That was another one. In a 2016 study with rheumatoid arthritis, it helped lower the pro-inflammatory cytokines in the body. Huge deal there. So this potentially helps with the inflammation from arthritis as well. So originally, okay, so this is interesting to me. Last August, last August, there was a doctor who was in a hospital struggling to breathe with this. His O2 levels, oxygen levels were like 91, nothing was working. He puts this on and he watches within minutes his rate go from 91 up to 95, working really well. Okay, starts to make sense. After he's been in the hospital quite a while with very limited results, 3 days later he's discharged. Okay, so that's the start. Now it was changed so that this is a FDA approved temporary treatment for COVID. It was way back in August. Have you heard about it? Probably not. Anyway, you can get this specifically for COVID, but if you have headaches or rheumatoid, like, you might want to look into this anyway, and because it could be way more effective. So, what else have we got in here? Oh, here's the other interesting thing. So in long-term effects with COVID, they're finding that there's a cytokine storm. Now, the cytokines are basically, if you're in fight flight for a long period of time, the immune system can have what's called a storm, and it goes into overdrive, releasing inflammatory molecules. And those inflammatory molecules can then degrade the organs and lead to death. Okay. Little side note on this. That's a natural response. If the immune system determines that you can't survive, or you're not going to survive, or you're going to continue to suffer, it naturally releases those kinds of messages into your body to go ahead and shut down. It's just merciful. Why continue to fight and survive if you're only going to suffer? It's a whole different story, but kind of makes sense. Now, that can be driven by the fear of what you think. So if you don't believe you'll ever get over it, Well, guess what? The immune system could say, oh, well, okay, if we're never going to get over it, let's get over it sooner. Let's end this suffering. Curious, there's a whole kind, lots about the thought process in this. But anyway, so you've got this cytokine storm and this inflammatory response. Now this vagus nerve stimulator applied downregulates that. It calms the mind, brings you back into a frontal lobe so you're thinking rationally and looking at all of the evidence rather than being stuck in a fear cycle. Helps you breathe, which gets more oxygen up to the brain, gets your whole system back into regenerative state. Now, keep in mind, if you're in fear and you're in fight and flight, your body is wired to survive and fight, not regenerate. So we got to get it to regenerate. So this thing is shown to reduce those cytokines by stimulating the vagus nerve. All right. There's just a couple of things about it. I will see if I can't post this link into in somewhere in what's here in the YouTube or on my Patreon or something like that. But anyway, if you, a loved one, someone you know is struggling to breathe or long-term effects, this may be a way to do it. And it's going to do way more than a vaccine. Not saying the vaccines are bad, just saying this puts your body back into repair mode. All right. If anybody out there has had any use of this, anybody knows someone, I'd love to hear about it. Love to hear your stories. And if you feel like this might be helpful or you're glad you got something out of this, appreciate a thumbs up. And I sure hope we cross paths on the trail out there somewhere. All right. Take care now.